Welcome to Mythbusters Tithing Edition, where we work to uncover the myths that are keeping you from experiencing the blessings of tithing. According to the Bible, tithing is giving 10% of your income back to God. So the word tithe literally means a tenth. So what happens when money is tight and my bank account is low? Do I still give my 10%?
You shouldn't have a quota or a monetary fee that you have to give to a church to attend. I think you should be able to give what you're able to give and belong.
If you have a lot to give, it's easy to give. If you don't have a lot to give, that can be a struggle. I guess that's the difference between, being really committed and just trying to get by.
If I don't have very much money, should I still tithe to the church?
Oh, definitely. You should still tithe and trust God. Trust God. Try it for a couple months and see if you can't do it. I bet you can do it.
I've heard a lot that you can't afford not to tithe.
If we don't tithe because we can't afford to tithe, the irony is you'll never be able to afford to tithe. I had a friend one time that I used to work with. He came up to me one day during our break and he said to me, he says, "Man," he said, "it's been a rough week." I said, "What's going on?" He said, "You wouldn't believe what happened." He said, "My grandson came along the side of my truck and with his bicycle and he scratched the paint off the side of my brand new truck." He said, "That cost me $1,000 to repair." He said, "Then a water pipe under the house burst. They had to dig up the front yard." He said, "That cost $2,000. He said his hot water heater went out and he had to replace a hot water heater. He said, all in 1 week. He said, "I can't believe it. I don't know what's going on." And I said to him, "Let me ask you a question." I just had this feeling in my gut that I needed to ask him the question. I said, "Do you tithe?" And he kind of paused and he looked at me kind of funny. He said, "Didn't you hear what I just said?" He said, "I can't afford to tithe." To which I replied, "It sounds to me like you can't afford not to tithe." According to Malachi chapter 3 and verse 10, God wants to open up the windows of heaven over your life, but he works through the principle of tithing to do it. He says, "Test me now in this and see if I will not open up the windows of heaven for you and pour out such a blessing that you don't even have room enough to receive it." In verse 11, he goes on to make a promise. He said, "I promise that I will rebuke the devourer for your sake if you'll have enough faith to trust me with tithing." Tithing has always been a faith issue, but tithing, it is for us. It releases blessings. It shows God that he can trust us with the little things so that he can trust us with bigger things. If you want God to bless you, bless your business, tithe off of the increase from your business. You want him to bless your career, tithe off the increase from your career. I've been tithing for over 20 years. God has never failed to bless me or rebuke the devourer for my sake. He makes things last longer, go longer, and above all, I have a peace that surpasses all understanding, that I am in a covenant relationship with God in my finances because I trust God with tithing. God said, "Test me in this." I challenge you, test God and see if he doesn't open up for you the windows of heaven and pour out a blessing you don't have room enough to receive.
As we've seen, God does know our heart, and he certainly knows when it is hard to tithe when money is tight. But we have to have faith and we have to trust him. So test him today. You can't afford not to.